Hello everyone, my name is Derek and welcome to Anime on the Netflix Knowhow, where we're going to be talking about the anime goodies available on Netflix all month long. Today we're going to be talking about Aggretsuko, an adorable little anime from the people who brought us Hello Kitty. Aggretsuko follows a young red panda named Retsuko who hates her dead-end corporate office job and takes out her frustrations through karaoke death metal. Like I said, the same people who made Hello Kitty. Aggretsuko is kind of like if they remade Office Space for the millennial generation and then they filled it with cute little animals instead of people, and the end result is both hysterical and painfully depressing at the same time. Hysterical because, well, it's about a red panda who sings death metal. But depressing because, well, it hits pretty close to home. The whole show is basically a satire of the demoralization of work culture, specifically as it applies to young people like myself, and especially to the gross levels of sexism and misogyny that women face in work environments every day. This is not to say that the show has a dreary, depressing tone at all. It's quite the opposite, actually. Aggretsuko is bursting with color and life and this great sense of energy and characters that are often bouncing off the walls and have all these ridiculous reactions and exaggerated emotions. It's a ton of fun and incredibly hilarious. It's just depressing because this show is so true. You'll be watching it and you'll find yourself thinking, yup, this is exactly how it is. This is why I hate everyone and everything. I'm just gonna burn it all to the ground.
Sometimes I just want to burn it down. Burn the whole school down to the ground.
The characters are basically all over the top stereotypes of every type of coworker you're going to find in a workplace setting. You got your terrible boss who is constantly yelling at everybody and criticizing everyone for the smallest little details, and then he ends up spending more time practicing his golf swing than actually working. You got the office gossiper who pretends not to care about anyone's personal lives but then obsessively follows everyone on social media just so she can dig up dirt on them. You got your loudmouth talker who can't keep a secret to save her life and can't shut her mouth for more than half a second. There's the suck-up who's always kissing the butts of all the higher-ups just so that they can maybe get some sort of preferential treatment from them. They even have the excessively professional personal assistants who wear the tightest skirts and the highest heels and have to do that like sexy hip sway every time they walk down the hall. Every single character is a stereotype of some kind, and they really play up these characteristics. And the funniest part about it is that as you're watching it, you're going to recognize these people from your own life. These people actually exist and you're going to be able to point them out when you go back to work the next day. What I really liked though is that even though the show is really trying to hammer in these stereotypes and focus on them a lot, it also takes the time to flesh out the characters and go beyond the stereotypes so that we can get to know them as real characters. Almost every character gets at least a scene or maybe even an episode, and some of them even get entire arcs over the whole series to really develop them and flesh out their characteristics outside of their workplace persona, and I really loved that. I liked that the show really goes beyond and breaks down these stereotypes, and it almost paints them as sort of coping mechanisms to help the characters get through their workday. It's a very clever way of deconstructing the soul-sucking practices of work culture, because it shows that each of these characters is kind of miserable and sad in their own little ways, and they have to put on these faces and employ these shallow tactics every day just so they can make it through the menial trivialness of their lives. Even if it looks like they have it all together on the surface, they really don't. They've just kind of found ways to deal with things and cope with their lives that doesn't resort to turning into a destructive psychopath. That's kind of what makes Retsuko's particular quirk kind of genius, because she goes to karaoke and she screams this really violent, angry death metal all the time. It's about as close as you can get to being a destructive, violent psychopath without actually crossing into the territory of becoming a criminal. Her bouts of vocal rage are essentially the embodiment of every single frustrating thing you have ever wanted to scream about in your entire life, and they're always so funny and so on point. It's hysterical because Retsuko is actually this very sweet, kind of awkward and shy, timid person that really just wants to be happy. I mean, that's what the show really boils down to. All of these characters, Retsuko and the gang, they They really want to be happy. They want to smile and, you know, feel good about their lives, but they can't because society says so, you know? This is adulthood. You can't have fun. You can't enjoy things. Suck it up and deal with it. It's also very apparent that she is still very young and very naive and hasn't quite come into her own yet. She hasn't really figured out who she is or what exactly she wants to do with her life or where she wants to go, and I think that's a great relatable thing to put on a character because I'm pretty sure most of us don't really know who we are, where we want to go, or what we want. We're always constantly figuring it out, and that's definitely the case with Retsuko here. She actually does end up becoming friends with the two professional personal assistants that I mentioned earlier, and they easily have the best relationship in the entire show. They kind of end up becoming Retsuko's confidants because they're older than her, they have more life experience than her, and so they offer her a lot of advice and try to help her understand all of the things that she's going through and all of the craziness that's going on in her life. I really liked their dynamic a lot because they each share a mutual admiration for each other for whatever reason, and they each serve to help bolster each other's insecurities and make each other feel good about themselves. It's a really interesting thing to see because on the surface, they're from different status levels in terms of their place on society, but you know, to them that doesn't really matter. They're just three girls who enjoy each other's company and they go out and they have fun together. I was also really impressed with how much substance they were able to fit into this show, considering that each episode is only 15 minutes long and the entire series is only 10 episodes. It's a pretty short series. You can easily watch the entire thing in the same amount of time it would take you to watch a big blockbuster movie. But at the same time, it never feels rushed. It never feels like they had to cut anything out to make up for the short episodes and the short length of the series. If anything, the shorter episodes really helps to focus the characters and their themes down to their very core without any of that unnecessary fluff. It cuts straight through the BS and gets straight to the juicy good stuff, which is ironic considering that the show is basically about the mundane trudge through everyday work life. Aggretsuko winds up being a deceptively deep and hard-hitting show hiding underneath that cute little furry exterior of adorable forest animals. It could have easily been just a dumb cartoon show making stupid office jokes with a few hilariously out-of-place death metal gags thrown in just for good measure, but I have to hand it to the creators. They really put some good effort into this one. They've managed to create a socially relevant satire of work culture, and they managed to do it with a red panda that can easily be marketed to children. Not at all saying that they should market this to children because it is absolutely not kid appropriate, not in the slightest. I'm just saying that Retsuko and gang would probably make the most adorable bedspread stuffed animal set ever. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll probably roll your eyes and shake your head because in many ways this is probably going to just be a show about your life, but it's the good kind, the one that's going to make you smile. Aggretsuko gets an aggressive thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you guys are enjoying anime so far. I know I am. I know this is only the second review, but you know, we'll have lots more coming out later this month. Yeah, Aggretsuko was great. It was really funny, a lot deeper and a lot more, you know, touching and heartfelt than I thought it was going to be, so good on this one. You should check it out. It's good stuff. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, you can go ahead and click that subscribe button down below and share it with your friends. I would really appreciate it. You can also head over to Facebook and over to Twitter. Follow me on there. And as always, if you want to know your flicks, you know where to click. Happy hunting, guys. I'll see you next time.